Hello Year 10 and welcome to our first lesson on the very exciting topic of crime and deviance, which is a pretty straightforward lesson, hopefully won't take too long. And I want to look today at the definitions of crime and deviance, two words that we might use quite often, but they actually, for sociologists, have really specific meanings. So can you put the title, the date, and the objective? So our objective today is to be able to explain the difference between crime and deviance for sociologists. So you might use those words in different terms, but essentially we want to use them as sociologists today. Okay, so what do the terms mean? Really, really straightforward, and hopefully it will make lots of sense to you. So a crime is anything that breaks the law. The laws are written rules that govern a society. So if you go to study law at university, or you know of any lawyers, what they've done is they've studied the books where laws are written down, thousands and thousands of books. Every rule, every law is written down. And a crime is anything that breaks one of those rules. Crimes have punishments that are suggested for them, but essentially they are written rules that everybody should be aware of. Deviance is any behaviour that goes against the norms of a society or a group, a subculture. So it may be illegal or it might not be. So we've talked about norms quite a bit. We talked about norms right this time last year at the start of year 10, and we said that the norms are the expected behaviours. So when you break those expected behaviours, you are being deviant. So for example, the example I always use, isn't it, is queuing up at the supermarket or in a shop or to get on the bus. And we British, we love a queue. But if you were to not queue and to push in, you are being deviant. You are committing a deviant act. Now, that's not illegal. You're not going to be arrested and sent to prison for pushing in a queue, but it's still going against the expected behaviour. If you wear the wrong piece of clothing to an event or a place, for example, if you turn up to work in a swimming costume when you're not supposed to, it's not necessarily illegal, but it's being deviant. You are going against the norms of a particular society. And the reason that group is in there as well is that different subcultures have their own norms and values. So a subculture might have their own expectations about what you wear, what music you listen to, and how you behave. Okay, so a quick little task. You don't need to write anything down, but just use your brains. Have a think. Which of these four acts are criminal, which are deviant, which might be both? So the four are burglary, so breaking into someone's house and taking their property, speeding at 32 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, drinking wine for breakfast, and committing murder. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to decide if you think that they are criminal, deviant, or both before I give you the answers. Okay, burglary is both. It would be frowned upon, judged as wrong, goes against the expected norm, so it's deviant, and it's also against the law. Theft, breaking and entering. Speeding at 32 in a 30 is definitely illegal. It's criminal, so it's breaking the speed limit. But is it deviant? Is it seen as wrong? Sometimes going down a hill, certain situations, your speed might creep up. You might not realize it. Is someone going to frown upon you? Is someone going to be really grumpy with you and angry with you if you go at 32 in a 30? Possibly not. So it might not be considered deviant. Wine for breakfast, it's not illegal, provided that you're over the age of 18. Is it considered deviant and unexpected? Yes, unless you are in the international rules of airports, which seem to have their own time zones where alcohol is accepted at any time of the day or night. And murder is both. So it's seen as criminal and it's deviant. Okay, the task I'd like you to do today in your notes, a written task. So it's based on what you've got from your own knowledge, but also you might want to do a little bit of Googling and research, because I want you to make me a Venn diagram. So you should have the two definitions of crime and deviance written down. And we've done a few Venn diagrams now, so I'm hoping that that all makes sense. What I'd like you to do is to have one section for things that are criminal and one section for things that are deviant, and then obviously where they overlap in the middle. So you'll end up with one part of your Venn diagram that has things that are criminal but are not deviant. That's the trickiest one. Okay, that's the trickiest one to find examples of. What things might land you in trouble with the police but aren't necessarily seen as wrong by the rest of society. Middle, criminal and deviant. This one is likely to be the biggest section, so make sure when you're drawing out your Venn diagram that it has the most room. And then the third section, what breaks those norms? What things are deviant but are not criminal, are not necessarily going to land you in hot water with the police, but you might get a few frowns and grumps and things like that from the general public. Can you please take a picture of this and upload it to show my homework when you've done? I'd really like to see that you've done that. And then where possible, what I'm going to do for each lesson is put a golden task challenge on. So I'm going to try and keep the lessons a bit shorter and smaller, but I'm going to add a challenge on for those of you who I know are really getting into your sociology and wanting to spend little bits of extra time doing some stuff. So today's challenge is to do some research into laws that we would call now obsolete, i.e. they're not used anymore. There are some really random things out there. If you do any Google search into obsolete laws, it might come up with some quite interesting finds. Basically, what it means is lots of laws are brought in to deal with very specific situations, particularly quite a long time ago, like hundreds of years ago, and they're just never taken away. We'd never send anyone to prison for it anymore. But now they seem to us a bit strange, but they're technically still illegal. There are more than you think. What can you find out? Just make me a little list. But essentially, it's just doing a little bit of research. If you Google obsolete laws, you'll get loads of responses. Just make sure, and it doesn't matter where they come from, but you're clear on whether they are British ones, American ones, or other countries. I can't wait to read what you find out.